Welcome traders, and in this video we're going to be talking about margin. Okay, so margin is quite a complex topic when it comes to actually managing and opening trade positions, but essentially when trading you only need to put up a small amount of capital in order to actually open and maintain that open position. This capital is actually known as the margin. So I've pulled up an example here. For example, if we was to buy £100,000 worth of Euro USD, you only need to you don't need to put up the full amount. But depending on the actual margin that you have on your account, a certain situation might actually allow you to use only £2,000. But obviously this depends on your broker. But we'll cover these examples later on in this video. So even though margin comes down to and affects your account, margin isn't a fee or it isn't a transaction cost on each and individual trade. Margin is basically a portion of your live funds that is set aside from your account to keep the trade open and the position running, and obviously ensure any losses could be, if any losses are occurred, they are covered by the margin. So essentially it's just money set aside from your actual open trade position. Margin requirement. So margin requirement is basically essentially a percentage of the total position size. Obviously depending on the currency pair and the broker or CFD provider you might be using, the amount of margin required to open a position varies. And we also have required margin. So this essentially refers to when a margin is specified as basically a specific amount of your account. The amount is known as required margin, and it refers to basically the account size and the amount of the account required. So for example, on the margin required, let's say Euro USD, to buy 100,000 without leverage would require you to actually put up the full sum of £100,000 in your account, the total value of the position, in order to actually open and maintain the trade. But as I said before, with a margin of, let's say, only 2%, would only require you to put up 2,000 to actually open and maintain that same position of 100,000. So this is basically where margin comes into play and allows you to actually leverage your account. And this depends on, the amount depends on your broker and the currency pair that you're actually looking at. Some other different variations of margin. So you've got free margin, which is basically the difference between the equity and the used margin. Now free margin is what you might see on your MetaTrader 4 when I pull it up shortly. Free margin is also usable margin and available to trade with. So here on the MetaTrader 4 platform, we can actually see at the bottom, we can see free margin. So this is essentially the usable margin available for us to trade with. If I was to actually open a position, let's just put in the lowest lot size. This is just for demonstration purposes. But if I was to actually open a position like so, we can actually see our margin level as well, and also the free margin as well as the equity. So basically these aspects of margin, which I've discussed throughout this video, will cover the basic format of what margin is and how you use it. Obviously there are calculations involved when using margin, but usually this is done through the broker, and it allows you to actually understand what the margin level is, what the free margin is, and actually how much you're able to trade on your account, or if you're actually able to open up or maintain any other new positions on your account. So to conclude, basically margin requirements or a margin requirement is the amount of margin required to actually open a position. So it's all about actually getting into position and maintaining position. That's where margin comes in. Required margin is the amount of money set aside and locked up when you open that position and the position is running. So that's it for the margin video. Just covering the basic format and what margin essentially is when it comes to forex trading. If you do have any other questions, then please let us know, and be sure to stay tuned for more videos to come. Trade safe.